Welcome to the Fence and Deck Mastery Podcast, where we discuss cutting-edge techniques, industry trends, and business insights to take your fence or deck company to the next level and dominate your competition. How's it going, everybody? Welcome back to the Fence and Deck Mastery Podcast. I'm your host, Alex Danner, and I'm also the founder of Fence and Deck Marketers, which is a digital marketing agency that works exclusively with fencing and decking businesses. If you've seen the pod or listened to the podcast before, I do different segments. Lately, we've been doing a lot of industry expert interviews. And then, of course, we're talking a lot about digital marketing and different ways you can utilize that. But today, I have one of our clients on the call, Chad Hopple from Pennsylvania. And he is the owner and founder of Westshire Decks. And they have grown to over $2 million in just 4 short years. So, Chad, appreciate you joining the podcast. How's it going, man?
Good. How about yourself?
Doing pretty good. Yeah, can't complain. Glad to have you on here and share some of your wisdom. I know you got a lot of it, even if you might be humble and say you don't.
Well, I appreciate you having me on.
Yeah, no problem. All right. So can you just tell me kind of a little bit about Westshire Decks, how long you've been in business, how it got started? You talk revenue numbers, trucks, employees, things like that.
Yeah. Well, to kind of know about Westshire Decks, you have to know a little bit about me. I actually have a background in culinary arts, which is a lot different than building decks. I kind of left the restaurant industry a long time ago, and I got into the construction trades. Obviously, I got offered a job with a company that was paying double what I was making in a restaurant, and I jumped right on that. And that was a whole lifestyle change, working nights to working days, and getting used to that was different. But I think that high stress level activity in the restaurant kind of led me to be a better entrepreneur now, because I understand, this isn't that stressful. They're stressful things, but working in a kitchen when that ticket machine's going off, there's nothing like that. So I actually ended up going into business for myself in 2013 as a general contractor doing home remodeling. And I carried that through till about 2017, 2018. And I actually sold one of my businesses to another company. And I worked for them for a little bit as part of the deal. Quickly realized, I don't like working for someone else. So decided that I'd start another business, and that's where my deck business came out of in 2019. I started as Chad Hopple deck specialist, kept my name on it because I wasn't expecting it to really grow the way that it did. But that was right before COVID hit. And, COVID for people, especially outdoor industry like us, it was huge. Obviously COVID wasn't great overall, but in our industry, it seemed like financially it really helped us because everyone was staying at home. They wanted an outside area that they could enjoy, and home improvement in general seemed like it kind of took off as long as, you could keep yourself separated from the customer.
Right.
So that increase in volume, I realized I had to incorporate. So I actually became Westshire Decks LLC. Unfortunately, there's a company locally that is now nationwide, and most people know them. They're Westshore Homes. They trademarked the term West Shore, so I had to change my name. So I thought, what? It'd be really easy to change one letter. So we are Westshire Decks now. And that change took place was it last year or 2022? That was 2022. I think midway through the year, we changed our name. So same business, same owner, same principles, just a little bit different name. A lot of people are like, what is Shire? It's like, well, we don't, there's no real meaning behind it. It's just West Shore with an I. So, with COVID hitting, we kind of went from that lower end, $500,000 to $1 million mark. And with COVID hitting and just having the extra people to be able to do more of the work, we were able to grow substantially in a pretty short amount of time there.
Gotcha. So is West Shore, is that something local to the area and that's why he both chose it?
So in the Harrisburg area here in central PA, the Susquehanna River runs right beside Harrisburg. And if you're in Harrisburg, you're on the East Shore. And if you're not in Harrisburg, you're on the West Shore.
Okay.
So there's a lot of stuff here that's called West Shore, whatever, like West Shore School District. Actually, there's a whole West Shore School District. So
Gotcha.
the West Shore home guy started here locally in Dillsburg, same town that I'm in right now. And, he's grown to be nationwide. Definitely someone, you can kind of look up to in the industry as far as a contractor goes and say, hey, I'd love to be where that guy is.
Yeah. Well, did you at least get some contracts on those new houses for decks, or did you maintain that relationship?
So they're actually a remodeling company.
Oh, okay, okay.
Yeah, West Shore Homes does like kitchens, baths, that kind of stuff.
Gotcha.
The reason they wanted us to not have our name is in case in the future they decided to do exterior work or anything
Yeah,
else,
yeah,
which I understand, but
yeah,
just a pain for us.
yeah, yeah. What and the COVID years, I remember what it was like for us. I mean, when it started hitting, I mean, what was your mindset with that? Were you panicking a little bit, like just thinking it was gonna really affect? I mean,
So I was one of the prepper kind of people, I went to the grocery store, bought a shit ton of food. I don't know if I'm allowed to swear. I'm sorry if
no, you're good. You can. No worries.
I bought a ton of food. And I was like, I'm going to be stuck at home for however long. But I quickly came to realize that um, people didn't care because I wasn't in their house. And the only thing that was kind of difficult, obviously, during that time was getting materials. I think a lot of people
Yeah,
had issues because that
yeah,
was more up the chain. We were a priority though with our vendor and Trex because we were Trex Pro. They were able to get us most of our materials fairly quickly. Um, Vinyl railing had a little bit of an impact, I guess, during that time. One of the vinyl plants burnt down also.
oh
So
wow. Okay.
yeah,
So that's a good point too. So if you're Trex Pro, is it like you're at the top of the list? Everyone that has that status, they're basically get materials first before everyone else.
yeah, they definitely help us. If you're a homeowner coming off the street,
Yeah,
they're going to say, "Yeah, we don't have it in stock."
yeah,
Whereas, with me purchasing more than one deck a week,
right.
it's like, oh yeah, we have that available.
Gotcha. Okay. Yeah, that's the. I know you told me that before the restaurant part. I was just curious because I know, I mean, I've seen like some of the shows, and I know, I've never been cook or been in the kitchen, I guess, and worked for restaurants, but that urgency, I know, like to make sure the food's right. I mean, did that ever translate to like deadlines for decks and construction?
No, because I mean, most people are understanding. You got rain, you got
Yeah,
any kind of weather or materials backed up, or people get sick. Like, it's not where you're sitting in a restaurant waiting for your food. And, if you've ever been at a restaurant and you're waiting for your food, you too start to get a little irritated. Like, hey,
yeah,
this isn't what I want to be doing right now, sitting here just waiting. And then you get mad at the waiter or waitress, and then they come back in the kitchen and they're mad at the cook. And
yeah,
the cook's back there with 200 orders trying to get them all done.
yeah, yeah.
um,
I
so it's a
got you.
different kind of stress, and I don't think there's anything like it. uh, uh, I guess the only thing, and I've seen like some articles before about like the most stressful jobs, and it's like restaurant workers and ER staff are like on the same
Yeah,
level.
yeah,
Obviously, you're not saving anyone's life in a restaurant, but just that stress level of trying to get everything done quickly is
yeah,
high.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Makes sense. Okay. Well, I know obviously you're doing a lot of decks. You just tell them kind of I guess the split. I mean, I know you're doing composite and wood, but you're doing mostly composite. Then
Yeah.
yeah.
At this point, it's probably about 95% composite.
Okay.
You got to figure with the warranty, the maintenance free aspect,
Yep.
and just the options with colors. Most people are spending that extra money to just get something they don't really ever have to worry about again.
Yeah, yeah. Do you have people that end up wanting wood and you just kind of convince them to go composite, or just pretty much everyone is one composite?
Most of the people that want wood want it just because of the financial aspect.
Yeah.
Obviously it's significantly cheaper, and that's fine. We don't have no problem putting that on, but we do tell them, hey, in a couple of years, let us know if you want us to replace those deck boards, and we'll get that fixed up. We still do vinyl railing on our wood decks. It's very unusual that we would do wood railing, just because, and that's a thing that we can convince the customer, like, go like this. Now do that every 2 years on every baluster on your deck. Do you want me
Yeah.
doing that? Like, and then most people are like, no. It's like, okay, it's easy to stain your decking, but it's a pain to stain railing or paint railing every couple years. So
Yeah, can't use yeah, that's a lot more motion getting around every single post, and yeah, takes a
yeah,
lot more time. Yeah, we have a wood deck at our house that I need to replace eventually, but yeah, it's a pain. It's nothing
yeah.
fun about painting or staining. All right, so let's see. In terms of like profitability, do you see any differences? I mean, do you just kind of have the same percentage for each, for wood and composite, or do you see you making more off one or the other?
It's the same percentage.
Okay.
Um, both of them take about the same to install at this point. Um, wood is nice because you're just screwing down through the top, but at this point we have a clip system on our composite decks that is just as equally, if not faster. Um, we do a little bit more decorative detail with our decks. As far as composite goes, we always picture frame, unless we're matching something that's not, but we don't do butt ends. Whereas with pressure treated, we would butt ends if the deck's bigger than 20 foot.
Okay. Okay. Anything like unique selling position that you say, when you're doing your estimates? I mean, anything that you really stick out that you've seen kind of sway people one way or the other, make yourself look better, like that for the top company in the area that
Yeah,
sets
we've
yourself
been
apart.
nominated as simply the best by Harrisburg Magazine. Um, well, voted as simply the best for the last 3 years. The first year I was in business, I was uh, the runner up, which was voter's choice or something. Um, which was, for my first year, I was happy with that. But we try to pride ourselves with customer service. We, try to make sure that customers are happy with their product when they're done. Um, and, something as simple as a year later, someone calls because one of their sleeve brackets on their railing broke off, we'll go fix that free of charge, and, just make sure their deck's still looking good. And I think also being, we were a Trex Platinum Pro and a TimberTech Platinum Pro, which there's not many that are both. And I'm not sure if there's any other in the area here right now, but that kind of helps us stick apart, as the manufacturer stands behind our work also. Whereas we're not just, we call them chucking the truck, showing up and
Yep.
slapping together your deck that might not even be to code. Maybe they didn't pull a permit. Maybe they're not insured when your deck doesn't withstand, 10 people out on it. And
Yeah.
so
Okay.
definitely things that we like to point out. You know, it, hey, not everyone's going to be our customer, and we understand we're not the cheapest, but we want them to be educated either way.
Gotcha. Okay. So any other like sales recommendations, things you say, or is that, kind of the main things you go, the, I guess, really set yourself apart? Anything else, or is that kind of it?
No, and I think so. We do have a program that we use called Cost Certified that I think is kind of helpful as well, because it allows the customers to go in and pick, whatever decking color, whatever railing. If they want to do an upgrade of pergola or a different kind of railing or lattice or lights or whatever, they have all those options in there. So they can kind of put their budget to work. Like, say they had $20,000, and when we gave them a deck estimate, it was only 12. They could kind of add on or subtract whatever to get to the number that they want. And I think that's kind of a cool um, tool that we use, and just something the customer can play around with. And then we have pictures of every color decking. So, that's convenient.
Yeah.
To narrow it down. Obviously, there's lots of different decking materials out there on the market. And that helps if we go see them in person. You selected these 3 colors instead of 200.
Yeah, yeah. Well, and that's also some like, do you bring out both like Trex and TimberTech? Are you bringing out like all the samples, or do you prefer one versus the other? I mean, how do you kind of distinguish between them?
It's kind of one of those things where did the lead come from? What did the customer request? If the
Yeah.
customer requested one thing, we're not going to try to sell them something else. I think at this point right now, most customers connect Trex and composite. Like they'll say, I
Yep.
want a Trex deck, but what they
Yep.
mean is they want a composite deck.
Yep.
And I think that's, it's kind of equal as far as the materials. And they're both great quality products.
Yeah. Yeah, that is funny how whatever marketing Trex has been doing. I mean, I've known about Trex for a very long time, and I was way before I was doing marketing for decking companies. But I don't know, they somehow ingrained that in everybody's head. Like,
Yeah, well, Trex's marketing was towards the consumer,
right,
whereas TimberTech AZEK's marketing was to the installer. And, so as a contractor, you'd know, hey, this is this, this is that. As a consumer, you're like, I want Trex, and that's about it. So
yeah, yeah,
I
I,
think
and,
their marketing, they're working on changing their marketing now. TimberTech AZEK is to market to the consumer more so now.
gotcha. Would you say I've never looked this up, probably should have by now, but is Trex quite a bit bigger than TimberTech? I'm not even sure, like in terms of like volume, which one's the bigger company, I guess.
They're the 2 top leaders. I don't know that one's necessarily much bigger than the other.
Gotcha.
Um, I think AZEK, the fact that TimberTech has AZEK, which does all PVC trim for like whole exteriors, might give them a little bit more of the upper hand
Right.
because they're doing outside of decks, outside of you know anything there. They're doing all the exterior work, around windows and decorative stuff, fascia board, that trim packages for whole
Gotcha.
houses.
Gotcha. Okay. All right. Well, want to get into a little bit of the marketing side, since of course that's what podcast is about. So, before we get into like the digital side, I wanted to see like offline marketing, kind of what you've maybe done in the past, but also anything you're doing now. Any offline marketing you can really speak about and give suggestions on, or shy people away if it didn't work. A certain type that didn't work.
Yeah, I mean, we've done every kind of marketing I think that you can think of. Um, Print marketing, we're still in a magazine, Stroll magazine, which I think is kind of a nationwide thing that they target to specific developments. We're in 2 of those in this area. We've done billboards. I don't think billboards really work. Uh, we've done radio commercials. We've done television spots, but I really think that your online presence is the biggest thing and best thing aside from word of mouth. That's
Yeah.
always, in
Yeah.
my opinion,
Always king.
always going to be number one.
Yeah. Yeah.
But you can't really pay for word of mouth or buy word of mouth.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. Yeah.
I
Yeah.
mean, we do have a referral program, so that kind of does help the word of mouth of if you tell someone we referred you, we'll pay you for it. So that's kind of a way, but nothing nothing beats word of mouth.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. And it's interesting, the radio and TV. I'm curious because I talk about this a lot, but I get mixed results. I mean, what was your experience with that? Like the radio and TV ads, how do they end up working out?
Um, I also don't think that they really did much. Um, a handful of customers, so the cost for client acquisition was extremely high.
Yeah.
So I
What do
think
they charge you? I'm just curious the pricing too.
um, we did. It was a few years ago, and it was like a good day PA on one of the for the TV thing, and I think it was like 3 or 4 grand, which was like a 15 or 5 to 10 minute TV spot where like they say all these people are watching it, and they might, there might be a lot of people, excuse me, but it did not like generate a whole lot of revenue from that. Um, but I also don't know how many people actually watch TV anymore with all the streaming services.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. That's something I've been thinking about a lot lately with, it's something I need to look into because, all the streaming services like Peacock or Hulu, and I mean, they all do ads too. I need to see what they end up charging. I'm not sure. I'm sure it's quite a bit pricier than, SEO or pay-per-click ads, but
yeah, it's definitely more expensive. But the other thing is, like, if you're like me, you pay not to have commercials.
yeah, that's
So
another good point. Yeah.
I'll do everything I can to not see a commercial. And
Yeah.
I feel like there's a lot of people now, especially that are the same way.
Yeah. And that's another good point because I think, as far as I know, like I know Peacock does like you can have the option to do 5 a month for commercials and then 10 a month you don't have to pay for it. But I don't think anybody else does that as far as I know. Everyone else is just like you pay with no commercials or not. Um,
Amazon, I feel like has well, they just did this $2 upcharge thing, and I think there's a class action lawsuit against them, but because they were like commercial free, and now they're like, oh, for $2 more a month, you get commercial free, and everyone's like, wait a minute, you were already commercial free. Why are we paying more? But they have different channels on there that have commercials also that you could pay to not to get the channel and not have to have the commercials. Um, but yeah, same time, like I do everything I can. My daughter is always like, "What is this?" And it's like, "This is a commercial. I'm sorry, you have to sit through it." Like
Why are
as
they
kids,
showing me this?
yeah, as kids, like yeah, we watched all the commercials, but now it's like, what? Why are we watching a commercial?
That's really funny. Well, okay, so the ads, we kind of covered that. I mean, what about like networking groups? Are you in anything like BNI, Chamber of Commerce, anything like that?
Yeah, I'm in. I one of my sales guys is in BNI. I was in it for a while. We definitely saw good good input from that. You have to figure your investment to your return, and I am a big on giver's gain, which is the
Yeah.
philosophy of BNI. And we were able to turn out thousands or not thousands, hundreds of leads. I feel like to referrals in BNI, and we got back over $100,000 in dollars return. So
Yeah.
I feel like it's really good to network in general. BNI is great because they specifically only allow one person from each industry. So if you can get into one, uh, it's really good. I'm actually going to probably be joining Latip here in Central BA. Um, but there's lots of good groups. Um,
What is that? Like you said, Latip?
yeah, it's just like BNI. It's almost
It's
the
another
same.
networking group. Okay. Yeah,
Yeah.
I've heard of that one.
But a
Yeah.
few contractors and I actually got together and started our own group where we meet once a month.
Oh, nice.
And where it's the same thing where we only really have one person per industry, but we're all business owners, kind of meeting, discussing, the goings ons, what's what. Um, but I'm also a member of the contractor fight, which is a bigger national brand that Tom Reber started. And that's great too if you're in, any kind of um, construction as a contractor. Like joining that has been great. Being able to talk to other contractors across the country, whether they do what I do or not, um, but with questions, concerns, just mental state. If you're a business owner, like I firmly believe that you should have coaches,
Yep.
and
Yep.
that definitely helps with that.
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely. Absolutely. Okay. And then associations, I don't think you mentioned like NADRA. Are you part of that?
No,
No. Okay.
um, I think we're a part of like one of the Chamber of Commerce's or something, but other than that, we're not really a part of any associations.
Gotcha. Okay. All right. Well, then, kind of get into the more digital side, digital marketing side. Did you ever use lead buying services, Yelp, Angie, Thumbtack? home advisor?
I did one. I had my general contracting business and quickly thought that those were huge scams. So, and a lot of people that I know that have used them haven't had, good things to say about them. I guess it works for certain people, but I never found any success. And since I've had my deck business, I haven't used any of those at all.
Gotcha. Yeah, I hear that probably just about every day. Um, yeah, I don't really, I've heard a few that like really figured it out. I guess, well, haven't really felt the need to figure out the winning recipe, I guess, for them, since it's I guess, like a competitor to everything we do. But yeah, I would be curious to see what I guess they are doing differently, just to know. But most people just kind of seem to get pretty angry about it. If the lead's going to other people and then they call them, and then it's already sold or somebody already came out or whatever. I guess you just got to be really on top of it whenever the leads come in.
I mean, when you're paying $30 to $50 per lead, but it's also going to six other people,
Yeah,
it's like, okay, so they're making a ton of money at Angie's List. But, if you're not the first person to call, or the homeowner might be like, I don't know why I even did that.
yeah,
Or it might not even be a real lead. And that was what I found, is like fake phone numbers or emails. And it's like, okay, so I just paid however much and there's actually nothing there. And
yeah,
that was probably the worst of it.
yeah, yeah. And even still, most people don't click. I mean, they pay, millions and millions of dollars to rank for, I mean, basically that's their business is SEO, ranking on Google to get those leads. But like even still, Google sets it up so their Google listings show up first, their ads show up first. So like, I mean, it's got to be tough for them because I mean, it's like the stats say it's like 25% of people go past the ads, go past the Google listings. So they're already working with kind of a lower subset versus, you know, and then your lead gets sold to multiple people. So I guess it's kind of easy to see why people get frustrated with it, I guess.
Yeah.
But okay. And then what about SEO? Are you guys doing SEO?
Yep. Not, uh, I don't know all the details on it because I'm not in charge of it, but um, we're getting better at it. I can see, we're going to get really good because we hired the right company.
I had to throw in a little curveball there. Reason why I'm laughing is 'cause we started with Chad about a little over a month ago, doing their SEO. But yeah, it's you guys were doing it before. You were doing a good job with getting reviews. It's not like you weren't doing it before either, though. But excited to increase that and get better rankings and more leads there. But when did you like first hear about SEO? Like when did it kind of on your radar and when you realized like, oh, we should try this out and take it seriously, I guess.
I, I mean, I knew about it before I started the deck company.
Oh, okay.
I just didn't know really how to go about doing it. Um, I did, when I joined BNI, one of the companies in there does online stuff. They built my website originally, and then they were doing some of the SEO related stuff with it. Um, so I kind of give that to the people that know what they're doing. I know how to run a deck business. I don't know anything about the internet.
Yep.
It's a scary place out there.
It is. Yeah. It's ever changing too. It seems pretty much every day Google's changing something. Uh,
Yeah, and that's the thing. If you're not tuned into it and in the know, like if you're not doing that all the time, then yeah, I feel like you can get lost in the sauce pretty quick.
yeah.
Like it's just one day it's one thing, the next day it's not. And even, being able to contact Google, it's like, oh,
Oh, forget about
yeah,
it.
that's, just like Facebook.
Yeah.
Yeah, someday you might hear from them, but probably not. So
Yeah. Yeah. And that's the most frustrating thing with SEO is because we are relying on Google, they don't really, I mean, they tell us very little about what they change. They'll tell us some things, they got little different reports, but if you didn't have like a network of other people, other agencies, or, you know, quite honestly, more than what you can just see online, I think you have to have like people that are testing things and you get feedback on it. Like that's what we realized like having, like you do, having a big network, we're part of masterminds with, hundreds of top marketing agencies, and we share like what we find. So if we can hear from somebody else that tested something with Google and it worked out well, it got better rankings, or they used a specific tool or, process that got them better rankings or whatever, that goes a long way because you would never find that out online for the most part. So that's one thing I learned, early on. It was just like you can't really just trust like articles online. I mean, it'll get you somewhere, but unless you know like firsthand knowledge, especially from like similar industries, people that are doing SEO for similar industries, you're just you're just going to be behind basically. It's just going to be tough to keep up with everything. But yeah, okay, and I know, so we're doing pay-per-click ads. We kind of just started those. You've been doing those for quite a while too, like Google Google pay-per-click ads.
Yeah.
Okay. Any thoughts on them, in the past when you used them, anything like that?
Um, I mean, my biggest advice is be careful who you hire to manage your online presence, because there's a lot of companies out there that will promise you everything, but like I said to you before, like they don't know my industry.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of online marketing companies that can market, sure, but they don't know the difference between a deck board and a handrail. And
Yeah.
it's like, there's a difference there, obviously. And that's pretty important when it comes to specifically our industry. Contractors in general, if you can get with a company that understands your niche, like that's going to be the best option. I went through I think 3 other companies that did online marketing for me and just didn't see any results. And we ended up, they did a Google ad for us, and their cost um, per click was like super high. So we ran our own ad against it, and like the numbers came in way lower. And it was like, how can we do this? We don't know what we're doing. How can we do this and beat your guys' number? Like, if we're paying, decent money, we expect to see the results and be getting stuff the best we can, the cheapest, not necessarily the cheapest, but the best quality leads for the best price,
Yeah.
not necessarily just, oh, we got you 10 leads. It's like, great, I could have got 10 leads for not that much money.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, for sure. And we've talked about this a lot in the past. Like the tracking piece is like so important, like being able to accurately track what the results are, because I would say almost every single Google Ads campaign that I audit and like check out, there's something with the tracking that's off. Like basically, if you're not using, like, for example, separate phone numbers for the landing pages and not tracking the calls, the only conversions you want to count as a conversion are the ones that were like in a legitimate call that you recorded and confirmed it was like, at least needs to be 45 seconds or longer, a minute or longer, to know it was not like a spam call or they just hung up or something. So most people don't do that. They just kind of track a lead as clicking the phone number button on the landing page, or they don't even use a landing page and they just count it as like viewing your website, like just going to the website and clicking something. So that piece there is just crucial. Like you said, just most people, I guess, wouldn't know that. And quite honestly, I see this with other agencies that are even competitors. When I check it out, it's like the same exact thing. And granted, it is complicated. I will say Google Ads is probably the most complicated thing that you can do with digital marketing, but that's why people pay us, I guess, to make sure we're showing the right
yeah,
results, and not skewing the stats either.
that, like I said, like having someone that knows what they're doing is key. I wouldn't, unless I hired someone specifically in-house to do that all the time, like I wouldn't try to do it myself or have one of my employees that does other stuff try to do that also, because it's too much for
Yeah.
one person to do unless that's their specific job. So
Yeah. Yeah. And you obviously like understand, if the marketing is making you money, like keep doing more of it. If it's not, then don't worry about it, like you do with the TV ads. But
Yeah,
there's a
and I
lot.
think that's one of the things that kind of made us grow so quickly is my commitment to marketing. Like
Yeah.
even when times are tough, still got to put money into
Yeah.
marketing. Like you got to keep the foot on the gas.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. And it is, it's funny. That's one of the first things people think to cut back on is like marketing when times do get tough. Like last year was one of the tougher years. I mean, way worse than, COVID years. And if you kind of scale back, it's just like, well, you're losing progress. And I think that's an important part is to like think about the ROI too, because I can be guilty of this too. When I'm paying monthly for something, it's just like, okay, if I save that monthly, I'll feel better about myself. Like I'll feel better about the amount of money I'm spending. But really, that's just the wrong way to look at it. It should be, what was it making you? If you're not making 10, 20x or whatever it was during COVID years, and now you're making whatever it is, 3x or something, like, yeah, that sucks. It's not as much, but like you're still making money. You might as well keep it going. There's no reason to stop it. So I guess that's kind of what we'll be seeing. But okay. And then I know we're doing like Facebook social media stuff. Just want to touch on the social media because I know you guys are doing some videos and making that an initiative. I mean, anything you could say about that, like creating content wise for social media?
I think anyone that's in a position as a contractor, um, fence and decking specifically, that content goes a long way, especially on educating a customer. Um, and a customer that's educated, if you're the one educating them, more than likely you're the one that they're going to come to when they actually have a question. Say they try to do something themselves and it just is a wreck because they try to do it themselves and they don't build decks, they don't build fences. But they might have watched like your video on socials or YouTube that said this is how you do it. So they followed your directions. Well,
Yeah.
then they screwed it up, and now it's like, well, these guys know what they're doing. I'll just call them. So
Yeah.
I think it's really important, to have as much content as possible, um, even if it's just like you on your camera, like you flip your phone around and talk to the people
Yep.
and try to grow your following. And I think it's huge.
Yeah, I'm glad you brought that up because it's so funny. Did you see that that Super Bowl commercial of Kanye, like his ad for his like I don't even really know what he sells to be honest, but like his shoes, I think, or something. But he like his like ad was like it was him in the back of a car. Did you see the video?
No, I don't think I did.
It's like it's him in the back of the car and he literally turns the camera around and he's like, well, I just spent like all this money on this Super Bowl on this Super Bowl commercial. It was like super expensive and I didn't have time or the money to pay for like a video recording crew. So I figured I'd just make this video and post it and like basically just says like you should buy my stuff and has this like tiny little pitch. And like I saw the stats behind it and it was like he made it so much money off this like terrible video. And I thought that was funny because you said like just flipping the camera around. Yeah, people like seeing it kind of the candid, I guess, is that the right word? The just the natural videos, and I think they just get to know you a little bit better and kind of about you versus like a perfectly polished thing because all humans are not perfectly polished, so they resonate if it's a little like a couple mess ups or here and there. But yeah, it doesn't need to be perfect. Just kind of get over the fear of recording yourself because I know that can be a little bit of a step if you've never done it, but you'd be surprised how many people actually want to hear what you have to say. I
Yeah.
guess. Okay. And then of the marketing efforts so far, I mean, what would you say has really driven the most leads?
Um, uh, well, word of mouth, like I said, is
Yeah.
is the most, but definitely anything online. Um, and obviously Google is the machine. What does if you haven't read the book, uh, they ask you answer. That book is the key to online marketing, and that's the thing. Like, if every person just thinks to themselves, like, "Hey, I really like that car," what are you gonna do? You're going to go on Google and either find out how much that car is. You're going to ask Google, and Google's going to take you somewhere and give you the answer. And so the Google machine is, the biggest thing out there. And if you're not on the first page of Google as a business owner, you're probably not getting a call.
Yeah.
And I feel like that's the key. And that's kind of what they said, when someone's calling you, they're 80% of the way through the buying experience. They already know what they want for the most part. And it's that last 20% of how do you collect them and how do you sell to them. And Google, I think, is obviously the key to getting them to even call you.
Yeah. Yeah. You touched a good point, like being on that first page. It's definitely got to be first page, and ideally, one of the first four results or higher. But they say, they always quote that's always funny to me is like the best place to hide a dead body is on the second page of Google. It's just,
Yeah.
no one ever goes there.
Yeah.
It's true. There's just, if you got 10, 10 options on the first page, why are you going to go somewhere else? So, okay. And then the review side, I always like talking these. I mean, anything you can say about like generating reviews, kind of how you go about it and get more Google reviews or really any kind of review.
Yeah. Obviously getting reviews is important, especially, getting those 5-star reviews to offset the jerks that come on and
Yeah.
put the 1-star reviews.
Yeah.
Uh, I think it finally got taken down, but one of our 1-star reviews was if they build decks like they drive, they're probably terrible. And it's like, okay, I don't know why that got approved by Google, but and that's the key to helping your business look good. First impressions are huge. Having
Yep.
lots of good positive reviews, having, the words that like deck or whatever in the review is important. We have these cool little cards, which I'm sure most of you guys have seen. It's a little
Yeah. Yeah. The
blurry.
Google review cards.
Yeah, you can tap them. So if you have a good customer, get them to do that review right away. Um, and we've done hundreds of decks. We only have probably about 30 some reviews. So we're not great at remembering to get the reviews ourselves, but it's important. And it's just important to keep that high ranking.
What company did you use for those review cards?
I don't know. They were bought online.
Okay. Was it like a Facebook ad or something you saw?
That's how we sold the idea. I don't think we bought from the first one. We kind of tried to find a better deal because their price range is crazy up and down the. I don't know how they determine it or whatever. It looks just like a credit card, so, or
Yeah.
a door key, really. So I don't know what all actually goes into that, but yeah, we just Googled it and found a reasonably priced so that we could get a few of them, and we got those.
Gotcha. Okay. Do you do any like email marketing? You send out emails at all to clients or past clients or future clients?
So we were not doing that, but we actually just started within the last month, kind of revamping what we were doing. We had, well over 1,000 emails from past clients and past, leads. So we put those all together. My admin did a great job. She does I think it's like a bi-weekly, just little, like couple words, some of the new stuff that we have and products available, and whether the customer went with us and we built them a deck or someone else did, there's plenty of upgrades available that maybe they didn't have a good experience or want something fixed or whatever, and
Yeah.
we're available for that as well.
Gotcha. Okay. And then so there's I imagine, there's fence and deck owners from all different sizes on that listen to the show, but what would you say to a fence and deck owner that's really trying to take the business to the next level, reach that growth, whether it's, just getting up to 1 million or growing to 2 million, whatever the case. I mean, anything specific you'd say to them to help get to that, next level?
uh Two things. Obviously, market. I'm not just saying that because I'm on a marketing podcast, but it's important. We try to, I think I'm not sure if I mentioned like 7 to 10% of our revenue, we try to keep into marketing. Um, I heard yesterday, actually, a guy that worked for Johnson and Johnson, 20% of their revenue goes to marketing, and that's why
Wow.
Johnson and Johnson is Johnson and Johnson. Like, everybody
Wow.
knows them. Um, and that's just something they stuck by since it was a family to, the giant conglomeration that it is now. So marketing is key. And it's not just our businesses, it's any business that wants to succeed. Um, don't take your foot off the gas. Obviously, this industry is difficult in the wintertime. If you're going to make it through, you got to keep marketing, keep going. But the other thing is make sure that you're selling for what the product is worth. Stop undercutting, stop selling for a couple $100 so you can make it through. If you're a true business owner and you want to collect a salary that's reasonable for a business owner that wears multiple hats, sell your projects for what they're worth. Like,
Yeah.
if you want to be a contractor and you're making 50 grand a year, close up shop and go work for someone else, because you can do that for 50 grand and you'll stop stealing from your family. You'll have more time.
Yeah.
Like, just go do it.
Yeah. No, that's great advice. And it's also, I mean, if you're cutting prices, you're cutting your profit, and then you're also going to be screwing over your employees that want raises and want to grow within the company. And I mean, if you can't afford to pay them and then pay yourself, then you're just it's never going to work.
Yeah.
Um, it's just impossible. So yeah, those are really good ones. Okay, so any additional nuggets of wisdom or insight you like to share?
No, I don't think so. I think we've
Okay.
covered a lot here today.
Yeah, we did. No, it's been a great episode, and yeah, that's pretty much all the questions I have for you. But I was I want to thank you, Chad, for coming on the show and being part of the podcast and being open with your information. We're trying to make a initiative to obviously we talk about marketing and stuff, but hearing firsthand from people that are successful within fencing and decking goes a long way too. And I know when I listen to podcasts, I want to hear some stories and some actual information of things that have been done and kind of learn about the possibilities firsthand. So thanks for coming on here, providing a bunch of value. I'm sure everyone got a ton of value from the show, but going forward with the Fence and Deck Mastery podcast, we're going to be we've been sticking to that weekly podcast, Mark. We're going to keep doing that and try to bring on, more guests and share more marketing information. So, however if you're driving, in the truck, going between jobs or estimates, you can listen to this and hopefully get some good tidbits out that you can apply to your own businesses. But that's pretty much, that's about it. If you want to reach out to us, if you have questions just about your website, really anything about your marketing for fencing and decking, you reach out through our website, deckfencemarketers.com. We're, of course, have the podcast. We do webinars every month. We actually have one today, but this won't be released until next week. So if you want to learn about the webinar today, it's on AI, which should be pretty cool. Talking to how you can use AI for your fence and deck business. You can check it on our website and you'll see the recording there. And you can go on YouTube as well. So I hope we can see you there. And again, thanks, Chad, for reaching out. And yeah, we'll be talking soon.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
All right, take care.